Superman, 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 Guys, we're here. James Gunn's first movie in his new DC Universe, titled Superman. Superman stars David Cornsweet, and this movie follows a Superman earlier on in his career as he tries to figure out how to fit in this world full of already crazy superheroes and comic booky things going on, and him just trying to find his place in that. Growing up, I did not care for Superman that much. When I was really little, I did like him. He was like one of the first superheroes I ever heard of. But seeing his movies early on, I was not impressed. I was bored. I was a bored kid from those movies. I thought it was just kind of boring. But over the years, I grew some respect for the character, especially thanks to things like Man of Steel and more of getting into the comics a little bit, just to kind of get a bigger idea of what a Superman really is. Actually, he's not just a boring guy. And I think I could probably rewatch some of those Richard Donner films and enjoy them so much more. But yeah, when James Gunn decided to start off his new DCU with a Superman film, I was ecstatic because I want to see a new interpretation of this character. The Man of Steel kind of dark, depressing version ran its course, and I couldn't wait to see what James Gunn had in store, since he's, I think, one of the best superhero directors these days. And I mean, he just came off of one of my favorite films of 2023 with Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3. So I was excited to see what he'd do with it. And wow, this movie's fun. Let's touch a little bit on the story real fast. It's kind of like a couple days in the life of Superman in a way, as he takes on these certain ongoing threats that are, as you probably guessed, was due to a little meddling of Lex Luthor. Spoiler alert, Lex Luthor is the main villain of this movie, but I've got to say, as a first film in a franchise, in a new series or whatever, this is probably one of the most lived in comic booky superhero worlds I've seen in the mainstream, at least. It's already full of so many crazy comic book ideas going on, and they're just happening all the time. All the citizens are kind of used to it at this point, since in the opening title card, they explain how the first metahuman showed up 3 centuries ago. So this has been a common occurrence for a while in this world. It's not like Avengers, where it's kind of like a reflection of our world, where it's more gritty and realistic, and then people are experiencing these weird things for the first time. No, this world is used to it, to the point they're just eating ice cream while a giant monster walks down the street, which I really like. That could be a detriment, which I'll talk about it again on the critique section, but I like that aspect about it, because it just feels like, yeah, this is just a comic book world brought to life, already full of superheroes and all sorts of strange comic booky things. And honestly, though, it feels like something from the Superman animated series in a way, which is great. That was one of the few sources of Superman I watched growing up, and I was like, this is cool, you know? But yeah, they're laying out the groundwork for this new DCU, and it is a great start. I love the world so much. Speaking of the world, let's talk about some of the characters that inhabit it. I mean, let's start with the main man himself, Superman, played by David Cornsweet. David Cornsweet is Superman. There's no doubt about it. He's perfect as Superman. He's so wholesome. This Superman's full of hope and full of sincerity. I mean, I knew he was going to be a great version of Superman when he said the corny line, "What the hey, man?" It feels like that old, tried and true earnest Superman that's he's not going to curse. He's going to be more like a, oh golly type of guy, but it fits perfectly. There's a corniness to this Superman, but it's in the way that Superman is, you know? It's cheese, but it's a good cheese. It's a good Swiss cheese. That again, this performance is full of earnesty. He goes through all the emotions. He's not just sour faced the whole time. Not to dig at Henry Cavill. I love Henry Cavill as Superman too, but this Superman gets to go through all his different personalities. Because growing up, I was Superman is stoic and stuff, but in here he's charismatic. He has this charm to him that's really well brought to life thanks to David Cornsweet. As well as he gets his serious moments, and he just plays every emotion perfectly. This is just a fantastic iteration of Superman, and I can't wait to see more of him. He's fantastic.
Say that again?
Let's talk about Lois Lane. She is played by Rachel Brosnan, and she is perfect. She's a perfect version of this character, I think. She's really that, not just independent, but like pushing the plot forward type of character, that if there's a story, she's going to get to the bottom of it, and she is going to make it happen. She's a great support character in this movie. Her and David Cornsweet's Superman have a great romantic relationship throughout the movie. They have a great chemistry. I like the way they bounce off each other in this interview scene in the film. She's a great Lois. And then I gotta touch on Lex Luthor, played by Nicholas Hoult. Nicholas Hoult is good at playing these characters that you just don't like, but in like the good way, like you're not supposed to like them type of way. And he gives off this great arrogance and snivelly I'm better than you attitude towards Superman. You can tell that he just absolutely hates this guy and wants to ruin him any way he can. He gets that across so well, and you can tell he thinks he's so smart and above everybody else, to the point that he doesn't care how many people he puts in danger or how much destruction happens. He's going to find a way to take Superman down, whether anybody likes it or not. And Nicholas Hoult gets that across very well. I think there's the danger of him coming off as a one-dimensional character because of how obsessive he is, but I think that's just who he is. He's crazy. He's crazy obsessed with taking out Superman. And of course, James Gunn has his ensemble groups of people that he's famous for doing with. I mean, see this example and this example right here. So there's the Daily Planet reporters that are, though they're probably the smallest roles in the film, they're all well utilized and get their moment to shine in a way. Well, most of them. I really like that guy that used to be on SNL. He has a scene in this movie that made me just die laughing. It's embarrassing, honestly, how I died laughing. But James Gunn just proves again he's great with these like ensembles. Even if it's a more smaller part of the movie, they have a role to play. And thanks to this world being so comic booky and fantastical, what they end up getting to do in this movie feels like it fits in. Like, just the crazy zaniness and adventure they go on, it just fits. Like, Jimmy Olsen gets this plot line that's pretty funny and pretty important to the plot, and it could have gone pretty bad, but it's played up very well. It's a very funny set of scenes. And then, of course, James Gunn gets to have his own little super group, like a Guardians of the Galaxy or Suicide Squad, with the Justice Gang, led by Nathan Fillion as Guy Gardner Green Lantern. He's just a lovable butthole, you know? He's such a turd sometimes, but still able to come across likable. And I like the way they utilize his powers and stuff. And then Isabella Merced as Hot Girl, aka, this is Dora the Explorer live action. She's back, baby. But this time she flies and screams at you and throws a mace.
Can you say severe neurotoxicity?
I'd say out of the Justice Gang, she has the least to do, but she still does a good job with the scenes she's in. But the standout out of this group is Eddie Gothge. That guy. Eddie Gothge as Mr. Terrific. He's probably the standout new character of the movie. He has this funny, dry attitude towards everything. He's kind of serious, but he has just a dry, like, sense of humor type of sassiness, more or less. He's such a fun character to bounce off of Superman and other people. He's a standout with his powers and stuff. And then Crypto the Superdog. Crypto actually, he doesn't fall into the camp of, look, it's just a cute, funny animal thing. No, he's a well-realized dog. It feels like what an actual dog would be like if it had superpowers and didn't know that. So he avoided the cute animal trope, and he ended up being a really fun part of the movie. He's going to be a lot of people's standouts, probably, as he's well-utilized, and he's part of emotional parts of the story. Lex Luthor also gets a control room of people he gets to interact with, and there's even some side villains with Ultraman and the Engineer, who the Engineer has some cool, unique powers she gets to throw out, and Ultraman's this mysterious, strong guy that's full of brute force. I especially like the Engineer's inclusion in this movie with her action scenes. Going back to characters like Mr. Terrific, I feel like James Gunn was almost gearing up for this movie in Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3 with his fight scenes. Like, it feels like he was really prepping for this movie, because I love the action scenes in this movie. The way James Gunn just spins the camera around, and it feels so visceral as there's sudden close-ups, but quick movement. It's like the opposite of a Snyder film, where Snyder likes to slow down everything. In this, James Gunn likes to speed everything up. There's like an intense speed to all the action scenes in this movie, especially with Superman. And I think they get very creative and unique with the powers they throw into this movie. Like Mr. Terrific has all these like little Mr. T balls, I guess. I don't know what you'd call them. I missed the name of them, but he has these little balls that are like thrown around, and it's almost like the spiritual successor to the Yondu arrow scenes in the Guardians of the Galaxy films. But it's just a cool power that you get to see James Gunn play around with in this film. There's so many cool things like that, like the engineers scene of her fight. It's just it's very creative. They're colorful. You can see everything. It's still super fast and impactful. The action scenes in this movie are great. I love the spinning camera and stuff. It might become a little too much for some people, but I really enjoyed it. To touch on the visual effects of the film, I think it looked pretty dang good throughout the movie. With it being such a fantastical world, there are some moments where there's almost this more cartoony CGI-ness to it, but I think it's well stylized to the world it's fitting in. And I think a lot of it's really good. There's this scene where there's like this giant eyeball getting like, someone's attacking an eyeball, and the effects look crazy and gross. And is that a common theme in James Gunn's movies? Didn't that happen in Suicide Squad? Anyway. But again, there's just this stylized CGI that I think really fits the visual language of this movie, and it's well done. It's almost cartoony, but it's that nice sense of stylized CGI almost, and fits the world incredibly. Now, to touch on some critiques, my main critique coming out right away was I needed more Ma and Pa Kent, because I loved their inclusion in this movie, and what they do for the plot is just, it's one of the emotional tethers to the story, and I just wanted more scenes with them. That was my initial first, only real critique. But thinking through it, this movie is very fast-paced. You're literally thrown immediate rest in this world full of superheroes and crazy creatures that it may be too quick for a lot of people. And at certain points, I think it made the script almost a little bit messy for James Gunn standards, because there's all these moments where James Gunn has to almost have an exposition dump. The good part is with him is he makes it very entertaining with humor and banter and character moments while doing the exposition, but it is noticeable that there's a lot of explaining going on as they're setting up this new universe. And again, with them trying to set up this whole universe, it almost overstuffs the movie in a way, but it's definitely on the better end of those type of movies, like a Spider-Man 3 or Batman v Superman, where they're trying to do a lot at once, setting up a whole universe. I think this movie is on the much better side, and I think they do a good job of towing that line with it being a Superman movie, but also a setup for a whole universe movie. I mean, there's going to be, you can tell there's so much potential with this world once you're done with the film, but it's still noticeable when they're trying to really set up things at certain points through the movie, and so it kind of messes with the pace too, because it's just a lot being thrown at you. So for general audiences, it might be too much. Super general audiences, it might be too much. I think they do a good enough job where it won't be too much of an issue, but it is a lot at once, and a lot of comic book stuff at once. Crazy stuff happens just left and right, like a comic book, but it's almost could feel like they're just making up stuff. They're and then this crazy thing happened. They don't really need to explain it. So it's a lot to take in, but I think it's still well paced. The story's solid. The action's great. The characters are really well done, that I don't think it'll matter too much, but it is kind of the weaker part of the film as they set up a whole universe as well as tell a first Superman story in this universe. So at times it feels almost feels like this is the second movie in a Superman trilogy or something. I still like that in a way. We know how Superman became Superman. We don't need to see it again, so they jump right into it, kind of like what the Batman did. But yeah, get more Ma Pa Kent in there. I need to see more my Ma, my Pa. Anyway, this movie is awesome. I really like it. There's such an amazing world that's set up here, and Superman is perfect. I love this earnest Superman, and the whole theme of him being such an earnest character in this world full of very cynical, such a cynical world. It really goes good with the times and stuff. And we need a lot more earnesty in media, because I think everything's gotten a little too satirical or cynical. But yeah, this is a great Superman movie. You should go see it. as soon as possible and on the biggest screen. It's awesome. So what did you guys think of the new Superman film? Did you think it was too fast paced, or how did you like the setting up of the world of this new DCU? Do you think David Cornsweet Superman should cross over with Matt Reeves, Robert Pattinson Batman? I don't think so. There's rumors that's going to happen. I don't think that's going to happen. I think they're going to stick with another Batman for this universe, which might get a little confusing, but you know, I'm sure they'll figure it out when they get to that. Tell me down below. Tell me your thoughts and opinions, what you liked, what you disliked, what you thought were kind of dumb. Do you think some of my opinions were dumb? There probably was some. Anyway, tell me down below. Leave a like, share the video. This has been just another Superman. And I'm gonna go save the day. Superman! 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 Superman!